Okay, so we have one more three-part piecewise function, but this one has some things other than linear functions in it. So let's take a look at how to do that. We're still going to start out the same way. We still put our number line across the bottom, and then we put in our fence line. So we have a fence line at x equals -1. Go ahead and put that in here. So here is x equals -1. And then we have a fence line here at 3, at x equals 3. Put this guy in. All right, and then let's put the functions in the places they go. So when x is less than -1, so that would be here, we're going to use y equals the square root of -x. And if we're between -1 and 3, we're going to use y equals 3 minus x. And if we are greater than 3, should be over here, we're going to use x minus 3 squared, which is going to be a piece of a parabola. All right, so let's graph the one in the middle first, because that's the linear one, and we're getting really good at graphing linear things. So my y-intercept here is 3, and my slope is a -1, since that number attached to the x. So down 1, over 1, down 1, over 1, until I hit my fence line, and then I put a hollow dot in there. And I'll go from fence line to fence line. So I have these two hollow dots, and I'm going to connect these two hollow dots here. So there's my middle function, or my middle piece. Let's do this y equals x minus 3 squared. I'm going to actually put this in my calculator. So I'm going to do the y equals, and I'll do parentheses x minus 3 squared. And then I could look at the graph of this, but I usually find it faster to do the table. And I know I want to start at x equals 3 and go up by 1s. So I can go second and push this table set. I'll tell it I want to start at 3 and I want to go by 1s. And then I'll click on the table. And the nice thing about this is I see when x is 3, y is 0, which is this hollow dot we have here. So that's just doubling up on that guy. When x is 4, I get 1. My y. When x is 5, I get 4. So here's that point. X is 5, y is 4. And it's going to kind of make a parabola looking shape. So there we go. And for this last piece here, I'm going to change my function. I'll clear that out, and I'm going to put in the square root of negative. So get that negative sign that's all the way down at the bottom, and an x, close my parentheses. And I want my table to start at -5 and go by 1s. -5, and it's already set at 1. So I have a little like 2.23, so it's probably about here. -4 gives me a 2. Helps if I plot those in the right spot. Sorry about that, I was off a row. There we go. Let's see. And I have, at -1, I have it's equal to 1. Kind of fill these guys in here. And since this is a square root, we know that it has kind of that curved look to it. So I'm just gonna, just that slight curve. All right. So there we go with the function. And then we have one more thing left, and that's to fill in any solid dots if we have any. So I don't have an equal to sign here. I do have one here though. So this is my middle, my green function. On the -1, I can color that dot in. This one's hollow and that one's hollow. So this dot remains hollow over here. All right, so let's find our function values. So when x is -2, that puts me here. And so my y value will be the square root of -2, which is √2. You're certainly welcome to leave it like that. I believe that's about 1.71. f of 0. So x equals 0 is in this middle piece, so I'll use this green function. I get 3 minus 0, that's equal to 3. X equals 5 is over on the purple side, so I will plug 5 in for x. 5 minus 3 squared gives me 2 squared, which is 4. All right, f of -1. So now I'm on the fence line, so I got to think a little bit harder here. I do know that I colored this dot in here, so I could read that off the graph. I also could look over here and see the equal sign with the -1 is on this function. This is going to be 3 minus a -1, which gives me 3 plus 1, which is 4, which is great because that's the value we have just reading off the graph. And then f of 3. So that's on this fence line. I don't see any line or filled in dots here. So if the line went through there, we can use it, but it doesn't. So I'm going to look at my equation. There's no equal sign here and no equal sign here. So this f of 3 is undefined. All right, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into what to do if the functions are something other than linear.